guess we're live. Okay, let's do this. Hi guys, Paul,
Josh,
Maniacmeat podcast episode. It will be episode 27. The upload that you're watching right now will be uploaded this coming Friday or next Friday. Actually, next Friday. Obviously, not this Friday. But one thing that will happen soon after this is done is Slasher Sunday. That's going to come up episode 26, yeah. So, looking forward to it. Anyway, so here we are. Here we are again. We're going to be talking about some spacey goodness, some very interesting spacey goodness that starts pretty interesting, then gets less interesting, and then basically it gets like a suicide.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we're talking about Xtro.
Xtro, read all about it.
Xtro, read all about it. Woman has thing forced down her throat, blows out her ass.
That's accurate.
Yeah. So let's go into a little bit of Xtro. Go.
Before we go any further, did you realize there was an Xtro 3?
I didn't until you told me. Well, actually, no, not until you told me. Is when I was researching it, and I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this now.
Did you watch any of it?
Yeah.
Is it bad?
Yeah.
Oh man, I only started it, and I'm just like, I can't even.
We'll talk about it a little bit.
Okay,
I want to talk about it because I want to do 1, 2, and 3 on the podcast.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely want to do all of them. So it is what it is. So, is this your first time watching Xtro?
No, I watched Xtro a long time ago when I was younger.
1982.
I don't know if it was on Monster Vision with Joe Bob Briggs or if it was on the Sci-Fi channel. Some shit. I remember watching it, but I had to refresh my memory, obviously. And it is on YouTube. Terribly Russian dubbed copy on YouTube. It's watchable if you can get past the terrible dubbing.
So big apple.
It was bad in the sense that, the guy's it's one person dubbing
the whole film.
Everybody, one person, and it's just like monotone. Here the kid's like, Dad, and then he goes, Baba. It's just
Baba.
like.
Well, if you want to learn Russian, watch Xtro on YouTube.
Yeah. But
well, one thing is, the female actress in this one. I'm gonna see if I can find her name really quick. Oh, they're probably not gonna post her names because Bernice Stagers was in quite a lot of films, and one of the films that she was in 1980 is one of the films that I want to cover. It's Macabre.
Ooh,
definitely. She said, like, I rewatched this and I was like, God, she looks so familiar, and I'm like, bam. It was on the Blade in the Dark box set thing, or double DVD. So I definitely want to check out that because I actually like her as an actress and stuff, and she's been in shit tons of stuff later. A lot of British dramas and things like that over the years. But what do you think about Xtro? Actually, let me say this one quick. What do you think about Aliens?
Aliens as just extraterrestrial themselves?
Because there's a little bit of a spoof with this film on a lot of Aliens are real films.
Yeah. Aliens are fun. Real aliens, like real gray aliens, scare the hell out of me.
Hell out of you?
Yeah, they're probably my biggest fear. I have an alien phobia. Is that a word?
An alien phobia.
Actually, you know what my biggest fear is right now? I'm not even gonna lie to you. When I leave here at night and I go down that road of yours, and then you get that open clearing where there's a field on the left hand side.
Yeah.
It reminds me so much of Fire in the Sky.
Okay.
And I'm worried there's gonna be like a hovering ship there in that field, and I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm dead, done, get sucked away.
Nice.
Because usually when I leave here, the sky's real clear and the moon's shining right, and it just creeps me out a lot.
I wonder what that.
I don't know what any of that is.
We're still working on stuff. Okay, no, we're good.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still good. We don't know if this is gonna work or not. We're just testing Mobcam out for the first time, so bear with us, everybody.
I love how we have 2 screens now.
Double screenage. Yes.
Camera 1, camera 2. Camera 1, camera 2.
Wayne's World. But we got this part of Xtro when the alien is the guy's going by and he sees this alien kind of back away from the road. They actually put that on, like, Aliens Are Real.
Oh yes. There's tapes. I've seen this hundreds of times. In, like, everyone goes to YouTube to watch music videos, and you always end up, or someone fighting, and always end up in conspiracies somewhere. And I always love the aliens caught on tape. And there's some stuff you see, like, oh, that's questionable. Every time I see Xtro, that scene from Xtro of him on the back road,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm always the first comment, I go, that's not real, that's Xtro.
That's an actual film.
Yeah, that's a real movie.
That's not a found footage.
Yeah,
that's a real film.
But saying that though, that is a creepy part of the movie.
It is creepy.
Like if you're driving down the road and you saw like, oh, there's this alien doing the crab walk coming out of me.
It's very interesting to see these extraterrestrials basically use themselves to convey the next species. Like they're just transportation shells for the next species.
Yes.
And once they know they have done their part, they just deteriorate into nothing. And it just goes on and on and on and on, and it's kind of interesting. This Xtro, basically what it is at the beginning of the film, a father and son get broken up by the father getting abducted. After 3 years, you know, they're just doing their own thing. The next thing you know, something comes to Earth. This alien comes out of the mud after it crashes, basically attacks a female, impregnates him through the mouth, blows out her fucking pussy hole and ass, probably ass I would have to assume, because it went through her mouth.
Well, that fin comes up here and like a shark just...
Oh, that was part 2.
Oh, was it part? That was part two.
No,
yeah.
The first one is just huge belly expansion and just blows out everything, and it's really hot.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, it's blowing all over me. And then so that happens, and the guy basically just crawls out, cleans up, and is a incarnation of some kind of the dad.
Mm-hmm.
So it just begs the explanation. Give me more backstory. How did he, like, why did they choose the dad? Like, how did this happen? Tell me your experiences on the ship. Like, that kind of crap. Like,
yep.
And it turns out he's basically just I don't know, is he just they gave him a few hours on Earth to do what he needed to do? Or is he basically just an alien posing to be the father? To get another, because he basically turns his kid into an alien and then takes his kid at the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel that is going to be his actual father coming back, like giving a chance to come back to Earth in a certain way, or is that an alien posing as his father?
I think it's an alien posing as the father.
Yeah.
I think there's repressed memory there, though.
Yeah. Were they using the father's memory to go back and steal his kid too?
Possibility.
Like, you know, yeah, they were just kind of basically using his memories and like, okay, we're going to target this guy now.
Yeah.
And like they laid all these eggs, like they got all the eggs in the thing.
Those eggs are so... Those eggs look like... We used to do a science experiment in high school where you take not hard-boiled egg, a raw egg, and you soak it in a glass of vinegar and it eats away the shell.
Yeah.
And that's what the eggs look like. It's just like
the yolk.
A yolk and a clear coating, like that chicken.
At the end was holding
just like burst and it's like right in her mouth.
There's another really interesting film with like alien eggs, and when they blow up, I mean they fucking blow up. Have you ever seen Contamination?
No.
That's another. It's Alien It's like Alien Part 7, Alien Contamination, and another, like it's Italian film, so it has 17 different titles. But that is definitely an interesting alien film to watch as well. We're gonna have to get to the Deadly Spawn and stuff like that at some point in time too. But I figured, I actually have been doing this thing on Twitter, where I'm doing polls of what we should do next, and Xtro 1 and 2 won against video violence and other things.
Go figure.
Like that. Yeah, Xtro 1 and 2 won. So they definitely wanted to hear about Xtro. So I'm glad that we got a chance to actually get a poll of our watchers or whatever.
I want to say I've noticed a influx of these movies making a return here on other movie groups I follow on Facebook, where we either talk about it, and that later on that week that's brought up, or we are going to talk about it. One I saw the other day, it was so weird. What was it? I saw in a group. It was such a film we did.
Ice Cream Man?
No, it was a really obscure movie. Like, well, Robo Vampire was one I know. A few weeks back we did.
Mystics of Valley is a good one.
Yeah. Alucarda.
Alucarda.
I'm like, who talks about that other than us? Like,
love Alucarda.
Yeah, I was in a group. I'm like, how do you guys even know about that movie? Because I didn't know about it until you brought it up, and then.
Actually, the funny thing is, I've been watching some other things happening, and a lot of the films that we have been talking about recently, I'm not saying we're doing it or anything, but they're getting special Blu-ray releases now.
Yeah.
Like Ice Cream Man, it just got it. And I'm trying to remember because a couple off the top of my head, like really weird off the wall fucking films, and I'm like, all of a sudden it's blowing up all over the.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's kind of creepy. That's weird. So now Xtro is gonna get the special Blu-ray release in a month now. So thank you.
Yeah.
You just say thank you.
Come
now.
3 disc set or 3,
exactly.
3 specials or something.
Xtro 1 through 17 on the same disc. You know. I hope there's not more. Actually, is there more than 3 Xtros? Or there's only 3. So
from my understanding, what I read online, there's only 3, and they only made the 3rd movie because the copy was about to go into the public domain.
Right.
And the guy didn't want it to go to, so he just threw a film together quick.
So we can keep
the rights
to it. Yeah. Now the other thing is, they did do in 2015 or something like that. They put like Expo Exposed. And it's like a whole documentary about it, like the making of it and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I should have probably for the film, but I didn't watch it. So,
does yours have the alternate ending?
I don't know if it does or not. The only ending I've ever seen is the one that it blows up in her mouth.
Yeah, there's an alternate ending.
Yeah, I know. It's on the internet. It's on the YouTube.
I never saw it. I should have watched it. I don't know why I didn't watch it. I should have been good to talk about, but
one of the Philip Sayre. It's either Philip Sayre or Simon Nash actually passed away in the 80s or 90s. So I don't know how exactly that one. This one was written and directed by Harry Bromley Davenport. So there you go. That was that. 1982. What do you think about it overall? The film overall, because there's some pretty interesting special effects, some creepy stuff. Some funny stuff.
Yeah, no, it's. I think I like the movie. I love Xtro actually. I love aliens. I love interdimensional beings, space travel. Has a lot to offer. Great, I think for the era special effects. I like the special effects. Great storyline. I think it's just a good movie. I like the twists and turns it has, and it doesn't hold back. It kind of just puts it there in your face with a lot of stuff. Which I like is
without trying to get an X rating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not going too far. But and honestly, let's talk about it for a minute. The kid gets some weird powers, and then his mind just goes trip
the
wild.
Toys, the life size.
And the midget comes out dressed as a clown. The guy's like trying. I mean, like for a while they're like.
That doll is awesome. That life-size G.I. Joe.
The G.I. Joe doll. Wasn't that called an Action Man?
Yeah, it was an Action Man. So yeah.
And for a while there, you were just watching the film, going, "Am I watching an acid trip right now? What's going on?" And then she walks in later, and like there's the panther walking around. The room is all white and all this noise, and the alien blobs, and it was like it gets a little surreal now and again.
It's almost like David Lynch had something to do with it.
Yeah.
It gets really like
here's some acid.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, so there is some really surreal parts, not to mention just the idea of like good special effects and aliens and stuff like that. And I mean, when the guy's literally just rotting away too, and exposing like the alien teeth, and then Joe gets it with like the sonic waves blow out of his eardrums and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, good for you, bastard.
You bastard.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny. And then of course you have the French maid friend. That is basically just being a token French woman by having sex a lot the whole film, like je ne sais quoi, bang 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 bang. It's like you're just being a token French woman, aren't you?
That's all she's good for.
Yeah. So there is nudity in the film.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to understand.
Surprisingly, what's weird is we cover a lot of movies that don't have a lot of nudity.
No.
It's weird.
Well, the thing is, we cover films that are super extreme nudity. Yeah. Or have no nudity at all. They either have nothing or they have everything. And one of the films we'll cover tonight has a little bit more nudity in a different way. But yes, so that was good. Xtro 1, what do you think about the film overall?
I think it's good, man.
It's definitely in one of those kind of movie nasty kind of no one talks about it, but everybody should, because it's kind of like, I don't know, it's one of those alien films that, I mean, it has a very unique storyline, I would have to say.
It does, and that's what I like about it. We've seen this story come and go already, but it's already been done after Xtro, I feel. I think it's a different kind of alien movie for the time.
It really is.
It's not really, this one movie isn't really about space travel per se. It's more about aliens running amok, or an alien running amok.
Yeah. Someone came down, they abducted shit, and then nothing for 3 years, and then all of a sudden
he just comes back and shit's active again.
Yeah, I'm returning for this kid's son thing.
They hired a mime to play Xtro in the woods where he's doing that crab walk, which You know, you think about it, it's a really cheesy special effect. At the same time, it's dark. You're going down a dirt road, and you only see Xtro in your headlights, and he's like running, like making that weird sound and stuff. And you're like, oh, that is kind of creepy.
It is
like,
creepy. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I would handle going down a dirt road and like, what's that in the bush? Like,
I like the fact that it's a humanoid.
Yeah.
Kind of like it's an alien that goes, well, I think I kind of know what a human looks like, and then he fucks it up.
Tries it.
You're like, well, it's close enough, you know.
E for effort.
It'll get me where I'm going.
Yeah.
And then it attacks the girl in her house, you know. I like the fact that like she like gets up like, oh boy, and then she tries to get this drink of water and everything just goes shit, and then her belly expands and it's just insane. It's just an insane asylum kind of a film going on. And the guy crawls out bloody and then washes himself up, steals clothing, eats the girl's guts out.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's like, oh, you okay there? Blood guts are just coming out, so obviously he's, you know, not exactly who he should be. Eating the snake eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's just a very interesting thing. The snake getting pounded to death by the old French lady.
Yeah. That shit was weird.
It's just a weird film.
It is a weird. It's really
weird.
weird.
It's a good film. It's a weird film, and especially if you like any kind of sci-fi alien stuff. Definitely, Xtro is something to be watched and liked. I think I'd give it an 8 out of 10 overall for films.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8.
Yeah,
give it an 8. It's good.
8 out of 10.
It's a fun watch. Definitely has its campy moments, and definitely.
But it has that nice kind of underground horror sci-fi vibe that really makes it kind of like one of those cult classics.
It must have had success for the time because they went on and made a sequel right away.
Right.
Which has nothing to do with the Xtro movies.
No.
You want to talk about the sequel now?
Are we gonna? Well, it wasn't right away.
It wasn't too far after though. I mean, usually, we have to remember they had to make it, so it wasn't, like.
And now are we talking about Xtro 2?
Yeah. Well,
Xtro 2 was made in 1990.
And that was Xtro
1981, 1982.
Oh yeah,
so it was a little bit.
Well,
I think maybe he was doing the same thing he did with Part 3.
Accumulated cult status.
Yeah, let's make it again. But if once we talk about Xtro 2, I think you'll understand that there's a simple platform they were building on. All right, so there we go. And of course, this is a double DVD with Xtro 1 and Xtro 2 on it. So let's get into Xtro 2. Basically, there is a science project going on there where they're going to try to launch some people into a parallel dimension, basically. The people are fanatical about trying to do it. The government is questionable at best.
No.
And go for it, Josh. Go for it.
It's Alien.
It's Alien.
It's basically the movie Alien.
Mm-hmm. They even have a chest burster.
Yeah, that's what I literally. You watch the movie. Xtro 2 for me was a little bit of a snoozer. You know, it was your typical.
Have that like cheesy, horrible actor in the night. See, remember in the 70s and 80s when you got actors, they weren't maybe known actors, so they might not have been very good. In the 90s, they picked ones that weren't very good. Like, you're shit. Come here. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
that's the thing
absolutely.
is they got that. They're all over the top actors too. They're all that kind of like intensified over the top.
They're so. What do you call it?
Actually, the girl in there reminded me the first time I watched it of the girl from the Terminator film.
Linda Hamilton?
Yeah, when you look at her.
Yeah, okay.
But she's actually the girl from Cannibal Run. That was with Adrian Barbeau in Cannibal Run. I was like, oh, I knew you.
Never put that together.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Xtro 2, they're playing with interdimensional traveling. And, of course, you know, they're opening portals and stuff they shouldn't be.
They bring stuff back.
And they bring stuff back. It's the same old song, really, if you ask me, of a lot of stuff. The only difference between, I'd say, this movie and maybe Alien or Aliens is the fact that it's interdimensional traveling, not so much space traveling.
Right,
There is a difference. Your jumping world's not really jumping into space.
Once Xtro actually becomes more of an alien presence, though, it does really remind you of Alien because it's that dark, skinned, black.
Yeah, he's got the teeth, his gnarly lip. And he's like
the first real attack after the alien escapes from the girl's chest, like it cuts her like in half like a saw blade, and then like shoots arms up and then just gets the hell out of there. Though it reminds me of Parasite because the first attack is all the kind of alien with all the different like big long teeth. I'm like, it reminded me of Parasite there for a second. But after that, when it really does get into the mix of things, it starts really reminding you of Alien. Really reminding you of Alien.
Even when they're doing the space, or the, what do you call that, the time, or world jumping, the interdimensional, their suits even look like a ripped off version of the ones they wore in Alien.
Right. And they even have the dinner table scene, but without the chest bursting, but that it leads up to the girl getting the problem in her stomach anyway.
I really feel like they just took the script and revised it.
They just revised it. That's exactly what they did. And here's the problem with 90s films. You know who the bad guys are at the beginning of the film.
You do.
Like, there's no character structure of hiding the bad guy.
Nope.
Like, you know exactly.
He's just because he's an asshole to everybody.
Exactly.
He's got a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the bad guy.
Yeah, I knew that as soon as the guy walked in the lab and go, he's the...
Look at his hair.
Yeah.
It's all, like, big and puffed up.
Yeah.
That's the bad guy. And then he's all like things are coming out of him, he's foaming, and then they actually blow up the dimensional portal and fucking kill him at the end. So what do you think about Xtro 2?
Xtro was a little bit boring for me.
It's like a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, no,
watchable.
I'll give it 4.
Really?
Yeah. I do want to say though, watching this movie, now I'm going to go on a little conspiracy here.
That's fine.
Hear me out. For anyone who knows about the Montauk Project, I'm trying to figure out now, because I did watch this movie, and a lot of this remind me of stories or things I read about or watched about the Montauk Project. And the Montauk Project was, it involved a couple of times travel, interdimensional traveling, MK Ultra, mind control stuff like that. But the thing is, when they're doing interdimensional traveling, and things are coming back with them, that stuff that would happen in the Montauk Project, all kinds of stuff like that. These stories of monsters running amok in a laboratory that happened in the Montauk Project. My question is,
amok.
Is the Montauk Project real then? Or was it just someone fabricated because they saw a cheesy B-rate movie they figured no one else saw, and they made these stories up, and a lot of people kind of jumped on that bandwagon?
Look at War of the Worlds.
Yeah. Do you think, because I'm watching this movie, and at this point, the Montauk Project really didn't come to light, if I'm not mistaken, until at least the 90s.
It was the mid-90s.
Yeah, and even now, it's just kind of like, what if someone just saw a really bad horror movie and goes, man, it would tell such an awesome story, and it could possibly be real.
Well, I mean, what if someone basically got grown up listening to other people's mythology and came up with God and Jesus?
Possibility.
Things happen, So, I mean, that's the thing is let's come up with this whole Christian idea of a Bible after everybody else's stories that we found out. And then the next thing you know, you have the Montauk Project.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Out of all that, you have
But the same thing. People do that, though. People do take someone else's maybe kind of niche idea or whatever and make it their own and then create something out of it. You know what I mean? It's what happens. So I could definitely see that happening, because all you need for something like that to take off is people that would believe it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need. If you have no buyers, your business won't flourish. But if you have buyers and you know how to sell your product, people will buy it, they will believe it, and they will run with it, and they will grow, and they'll make up their own stories to give it even more validity. They'll make up stuff so people believe. Christianity. And and stuff like that. And then the next thing you know, you have a whole cult on your hands. You know what I mean? So
Heaven's Gate.
Yeah. Heaven's Gate, Hail Bob.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that at work, and we couldn't remember the little group they were called. We were like, oh, come on, the Hail Bob. What was it? What
Heaven's
called?
Gate.
Heaven's Gate. Oh shit.
Man, I love that cult.
Yeah. Guy had great hair.
Weren't they all eunuchs too?
They cut their genitals off, and they were in their little bunk beds.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if they could just send me all their genitals. I need some.
You put them in a nice pot pie.
Yeah.
A nice stew.
Little cock pot pie.
Cock pot pie. But yeah, man, Heaven's Gate. That's what I was thinking. I'm just like, what if? Because I'm watching it. I go, what if this is all? What if I believe in the Montauk Project to an extent. Some stuff here, I kind of.
Well, what about the Rose Island shit? And then basically you have
Plum Island,
or Plum Island, man. And then the next thing you know, we have Lyme disease.
Well, that's what I was telling people. I go, it's funny because they disclosed Plum Island. The Nazis ran Plum Island after World War II. We gave them, with Project Paperclip, we gave them security clearances and what do you call them? Immunity from the war.
Immunity.
Yeah, if they would share their information that they learned, and we gave them Plum Island to develop all kinds of crazy diseases and stuff. when you're going into Long Island, there's a lot of signs for ticks. Watch for ticks.
Oh yeah, ticks are horrible in Long Island.
High Lyme diseased areas. You know, what are the odds? And right across the street basically is Plum Island, where they do chemical warfare.
Right.
You know, there's always. I was just talking to a guy on Facebook. He's posted about the Montauk Monster, all kinds of weird creatures washing up on the shore. I don't really think any of it's really weird. I think a lot of it's just dead animals that got bloated in the water,
Right, exactly.
sitting in the sun.
Raccoons and stuff like that.
But there was one case where a humanoid figure did wash up on the beach. A man called the cops. He thought it was a dead body, but he said he was really skinny, real frail man, and his fingers were so long and slender, they almost looked like big matchsticks, you know. Mm-hmm. And he called the police, and one police officer showed up, and shortly after that police officer showed up, then the FBI rolled in and quarantined the area and took the guy's camera because he had pictures of it and everything.
Oh yeah, they just roll up and just confiscate everything because it's just a normal thing. Don't worry about it, guys.
So that's kind of like where I'm kind of like at this point, like, what if, you know, I don't know, or what if Xtro is based off the Montauk Project? Or what if someone heard these stories, like, that'd be an awesome movie?
No, just do that. Well, I mean, obviously, they had to build something from somewhere, but I think it's blatantly obviously that Alien is the major point of the script.
Yeah.
And then they build it off that. They build it, but basically what they're doing, and this is the funny thing, is you don't usually see shit like this except from other countries, like the Italian film, like industry that will make like the big budget film and they'll make a cheap version of it. Here, we're doing it to ourselves.
Is Xtro 2, is it a foreign film?
No, it's an American film.
Is it?
Yeah. We're doing it to ourselves. Actually, it isn't a foreign film because Xtro 1 was a British film.
Jan Michael Vincent's in Xtro 2, I forgot to say.
Yeah, Jan Michael Vincent.
This January. January. You did that Rick and Morty. Mm-hmm. You're Michael Vincent.
Yeah, that's
from Airwolf.
That's interesting. Now, yeah, well, that's the thing is Jan Michael Vincent is just such an over-the-top character again, and it's squinty-eyed too. Very squinty-eyed.
Jan Michael Vincent.
Now, what do you think? What do you think about stuff like that, like the whole aliens, conspiracies, bullshit like that? You into that?
Yep. I watch a lot of documentaries. I've watched tons of books. I know people. Travis Walton. I used to talk to quite a bit on Facebook privately and on time. You know, we post on each other's timelines and stuff. Travis Walton was the guy who got missing out there. We'll Fire the Sky. The movie's based off of him. Mm-hmm. You know, and I do believe it. I really do believe in aliens. I believe in extraterrestrials traveling here. I believe interdimensional traveling. It's all physics. It's just a matter of finding how to tap into it. Just watch Bob Lazar on Netflix. He's got a documentary. And Bob Lazar, and people in the 90s would point and laugh at him. They go, this guy's so fake. But here we are in 2019, and they go, is he fake? Because he talked about element 115 back in the 90s, and scientists would go, there's no such element. And here we discovered element 115. So now here's a guy from 89 to 1990 who said about element 115, that's how these spaceships fly. And all of a sudden, scientists are now starting to discover element 115. It's a real thing. So is he full of shit now at this point? Because he was talking about, and he explained how UFOs work with anti-gravity and how they fly and stuff. And best way he explained it is UFOs, if you would take a bowling ball and put it on your mattress and push in front of the mattress, it rolls towards that area. And that's what they're doing. They're densening up the gravity so that UFOs we always think fly like this. You know, they're flying around. He goes, UFOs don't. When they go up and they're able to hover like that, you know, do small maneuvers, but when they actually fly, they turn on their side and go. He goes, that's how they fly, because they're pushing against gravity. They're pushing away from gravity. Like when you put your feet up against a swimming pool and push. You know, you did that as a kid? Mm-hmm. That's kind of how you're flying sideways, actually. You're not actually flying like a Mars Attacks fucking like the Jetsons. You're actually on your side flying. You're flying that way.
Like you're pushing yourself through the pool.
Yeah.
Inertia.
And that's what and that's what he says. And Bob Lazar, while they were filming this movie, by the way, this documentary, his house and his laboratory was raided twice by the FBI.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yep, it was pretty crazy. Why they were filming.
Why do you feel if we're made to believe, right? If we're made to believe all this stuff is fake, why do the Men in Black always show up and do all this stuff? Because the more they do that, the more we go, oh, there must be something there.
The question you need to ask yourself is, the Men in Black government
We're
or
talking
extraterrestrial.
We're talking about, the government says none of this shit is real.
Yeah.
But every time this shit happens, the government's all fucking over it. Like stink on roadkill. And I'm like, you know what? If nothing's going on, why are you here? Like, for instance, something that happened closer to home. Was it John Seeks?
John Cease.
What? John Seeks. Tell us about John Seeks.
John Cease, a gentleman not too far from here, probably about, not even
45 minutes?
If that, even maybe a half hour tops. He was a gentleman. He was a family man. He was a blue-collar American man.
Mm-hmm.
He liked to hunt and fish. He worked his 9 to 5. And one fall day, it was right getting closer to deer season here in PA. He told his wife, he said, "Hey, I'm heading out in the morning. Gonna find a nice spot for hunting. I'll be home by lunch." And Mr. Cease got up early. He packed himself a little breakfast, a little snacks for the woods, got on the four-wheeler and headed up the hills. And noon came, and he never came home. And his wife wasn't really concerned at the point because maybe he lost track of time, And then it started heading into the evening. When she was making dinner, he still is not coming home. Nobody can find Todd. Then it went the whole night. And, friends came up and tried to find him. It was real dark. They thought maybe something happened to Todd where he got injured. And, no go. And then, she went to bed and woke up and still no Todd. No one could find Todd. So they sent a search party out the next day to find Todd. And they went up on the hills and all through the woods. And they did find his four-wheeler. It was on top of the hill, just stopped. The tracks just stopped because it was a damp evening, so the tracks, you see where the tracks stopped, and there's no footprints around it. No footprints around it, not like he got off and walked off or wandered off anywhere. And so they thought that was bizarre. They couldn't really trace him. They had dogs up there trying to find him, nothing. Someone did say they saw his shirt in a tree. There's a tree all the way from the shirt, or shirt all the way from the tree.
And during deer season, you want to take your shirt off.
It's pretty cold out there at night, especially in the fall here in PA, in the woods. And then a couple of days went by, they had search parties out, and about, I think it was what they say, like 3/4 of a mile or to a mile up the road, they were searching in the woods, and someone saw a white object in a field over by a pond. So they went over there and looked, and here it was, Mr. Cease, dead, pale. He had pieces of his body missing. His lips was missing around his face. Surgical holes in his armpits. Mm-hmm. Stuff you would typically see in cattle mutilations.
Like the glandular area.
Yeah. Stuff you would see in cattle mutilations. And he was rigor mortis, obviously, but his hands are up like this. And his mouth was open. Like he was screaming or scared. Trying to deflect whatever was happening to him. And what they thought was most odd is there's no blood. Mm-hmm. No bodily fluid whatsoever. The surgical cuts are perfect and clean. They're cauterized as they were cut, so there's no blood nowhere.
So basically he was flushed clean of blood, too.
Yes. And so they called the police, they called the coroner, and they came out. Not shortly after they showed up, the FBI showed up. They quarantined the area, and they took the body away. The thing that gets really weird here is the body showed back up, or the FBI returned the body in a sealed casket. It was sealed shut. You couldn't open it. And they did a funeral for Mr. Cease, put it away, but the wife really thinks that his body was not in the casket.
It's probably not in the casket at all.
Completely MIA,
Well, they put a John Doe in there. Just,
yep.
There you go.
But no one was able to open up the casket. So she hired a private investigator. He questioned people that knew Todd. The FBI rolled it out as a drug overdose of cocaine drug overdose.
That would be easily traceable by the coroner, though.
I would like to think so, but since the FBI took over the coroner's report, not like he could fill anything out. He couldn't really examine the body other than what he did there in the field briefly. And I don't think you lose your lips and your armpits because of cocaine overdose.
No. But teeth with meth, but that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So she had a private investigator. He interviewed people. The towns or the neighbors recall, he says, is there anything weird going on? They said they remember seeing lights in the sky up over the mountaintops where Mr. Cease was at that time, or not around the rough time. They don't know exactly what time it was, but they remember seeing him up around those days. And so the private investigator went all the way out to the police department and to get the reports, and they kept getting denied, or call this number and find this, to talk to this person. They're jerking him around. Finally, one day, he's in there. The chief of police comes out and talks to him and said, listen, he's like, stop what you're doing. He's like, just leave this case alone. He's like, save you, save your family, save the Cease family, all the troubles. He's like, we're done with this case. Don't go any further for your safety and the safety of everyone else. Just drop it. Why would a cop say that once you want to try to find answers of what happened to your loved one?
Isn't that the cop's job?
So that's kind of where it ended. There's still ongoing investigations with other paranormal experts, what they could possibly do. They did try to get a thing to the permits to exhume the grave, to examine the body, do testing on the body, and they were denied permits every single time.
Sounds like you need to do one of those.
Just do it your fucking
Do
self.
it yourself. Get a backhoe one night.
Yep.
Hold people up with guns if you have to, and just exhume the thing.
I bet you crack that open, you're gonna find like a fucking jackal or something there.
Yeah, a couple dead deer.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something fucking. Because I could tell you, and my honest. What's scary about the whole story is the fact it only happened a little distance away from here.
Yeah.
Another thing that's also scary about it is the fact that this body was treated like a cattle mutilation. I did a little research, and apparently this is a pretty common occurrence in Brazil.
Oh yeah.
People get mutilated by what they think are extraterrestrials or demons.
I'm sure they chalk it all up to like basically
Cartels, drugs.
yeah.
Yep. But I guess it's an on.
Well, that's the thing is I do hear sometimes like they talk about even like the goat sucker or whatever, chupacabras and stuff like that, and cattle mutilations, and they always say like wild animals, but there's no teeth marks.
There's never teeth marks, but they're like surgical cuts though. I think the coroner said that for the time he could examine the body before it was taken, those are surgical cuts. They're perfectly circular. It's some whatever's cutting it. It's a perfect. It's not tearing. Like like a teeth would tear or your claws would tear. It's like a razor blade, but when it's cutting, it's cauterizing, so there's no blood running.
And the other thing is, do you ever notice they never mentioned the onset of bug infestations?
Exactly. That's another thing the coroner did point out. There's no insects. There's no bugs. There's no decay. There's no smell of death and rot.
Right.
There's nothing there. Like it's just a body. Like that's just.
Yeah, because if it was there for a set odd days of missing and mutilated,
he was missing for 3 or 4 days before they found the body.
You'd have maggot larvae. You'd have things, and they never mentioned that. They never mentioned bugs anywhere, any kind of this or that. It's basically just someone took them out of a freezer and laid them in a field. And then he's just thawing when you go, oh look, there's a guy. So basically, also too, they let you find them when they want you to find them, kind of a deal.
There's a lot of alien abduction cases that don't go so well for a lot of people. I know Travis Walton, he was put through the ringer with his case, but Travis Walton thinks that the government is behind it. This isn't strictly extraterrestrial.
Well, it almost seems like the government they work with each other and allow certain abductions to happen so often.
There's cases where they say that we have a treaty with extraterrestrials that they give us so much technology, we allow them to take so many specimens.
We've advanced about 1,000 years in the last 20 as far as technology goes. It seems kind of insane.
It is. I tell people that too, and there's a lot of people who just don't believe in aliens. You're like, well, that's. I'm like, what? It's just a fluke, Like you think about all of history, even up to like the Civil War, which wasn't too far long ago, really. It's just you didn't have technology, and it was like, well, did any of the 1900s that were just now starting to get technology, like, the invention of the microchip alone is.
Yeah.
Who came up with that idea?
I mean, growing up, the closest thing we got to technology was the doors at the store that opened up like that. I mean, that was it. And then cell phones started happening, and from 1985 till now, we just shot like a rocket.
Yeah, we really did. We really did.
Yeah.
So I mean, I believe.
Once you started getting into nano and laser technology now and stuff like that, we're carving. We got to the point now we're carving horses on a particle.
Yeah.
With nanotechnology. All right. We were using bone saws 150 years ago.
And now we're carving horses on atom.
On an atom. We didn't know atoms existed 100 years ago.
For anyone to say,
You know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah,
just
for anyone to say that aliens have not interfered with us is completely pathetic. I don't care what you say.
I just think it's kind of funny. Like, people's perception of reality depends on the amount of technology that is available to the people. We might get to the point in time where we have the technology to see through dimensions and see what is actually happening. Like, oh, that's a ghost. It's not really a ghost. It's actually just a reflection of a different dimension happening in our own timeline, and we get notice of it. But now we can have technology to actually show that. So now that's debunked. It's true, but it's debunked at the same time. It's just one of those things.
It's not what we thought it was originally.
It's working. Excellent. Good.
Oh, yay.
Hey. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you can do... The technology you have determines the environment, the social climate, and what people perceive as reality. You know what I mean?
I think we'll have a better understanding of the things we don't understand as we progress.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm glad. Thanks, Rod. I'm glad it's working. I'm glad it's still going. What format are you watching this on, Rod? Are you watching it on YouTube or Facebook? Probably YouTube.
Is it streaming live on YouTube like this?
Yeah. Mobcam.
Wow, that's...
We're hustling the system right now.
We're gonna get shut down.
God, you got it going, buddy. Well, I'm glad too, man. Thanks a lot, Rod. Oh, on YouTube. He's watching this on YouTube, right? See, yeah. So there you go. That's great. And we're drinking beer. We're talking about alien shit on YouTube.
Aliens.
Now I just have to. I'll just download Penguin so I can get like a desktop version. I can check out my streaming and shit like that. But we're also recording it live. We're recording it and we're going live at the same time. So after this gets done, we're gonna pop it up on the actual. If you can't locate the stream after this is done, we'll actually have the real upload. So this is the best of both worlds.
I'm glad we're live again.
I'm glad we're live.
I
again.
feel like we got our superpowers back.
And we did. Samson got his hair back.
Oh.
No, Rogaine for men.
Yeah.
Oh, well, apparently I'm one of his homies. He hooks up all his homies, son.
Homies.
Sons? That's good.
Homies.
Homie needs some beer.
I wish I had homies.
I'm your homie.
You're a homie?
I'm a homo.
Oh, you're a cholo homo.
I'm a cholo homo. I like a nice colito.
Yeah. So anyway, that's aliens, man. What do you think about aliens, Paul?
I've seen some shit that I can't explain. And that's the thing is, you can't deny anyone who says something, I saw a UFO. It doesn't even matter if it was a bird. If they didn't know what it was undefined. It was, you know what I mean? Like, I saw a flying object and I didn't know what it was. So you saw a UFO.
A creepy moment in my life. I grew up with stories. My grandmother said when she was younger, she remembered when she worked at the Berwick Hospital as a nurse. She was going in late. She worked night shift, and she was going in late at night. And she said she literally saw a giant ship fly over, real slow. It made a real low hum sound. Mm-hmm. You know, it was so massive. She said it just lit the sky right up. She was so scared. But what was more mind-boggling about it is the fact that she walked into the lady at the front desk. The receptionist said, "Did you see that out there? Did you hear that?" And she had no idea what she was talking about. Mm-hmm. It doesn't stop there, though. We fast forward. Only 5 years ago, I find out my aunt and one of her best friends saw the same thing on the same night. In different locations, though.
Nice.
So it's like, my grandma's even, she was like, there's other people who saw this, too. Like, in Berwick, like.
Right. I'm glad that when I saw 3 things, and I wasn't alone. I was with my wife, and with my friend Jan, and then with my old friend, you know, my friends from my younger days. We were coming home from Pack Sinus with a whole car full of guys at night. We were watching this one star in the horizon. Like, oh, look how fucking awesome that star is, right? And we were just all fucking driving. This is before we did drugs or drank or anything like that, you know.
Back when the mind was sober.
Yeah, we were actually legal teens. We didn't do any of those kind of things. So we were driving, and this fucking star just went, and we're like, oh fuck. Like, it was just one of those oh fuck moments where you're like, oh, let's just keep driving. You know, so that we did that. Then I was with my wife, after we did drugs. No, of course not. But it was drugs. And but then we were driving home from Johnstown, and this is the weird thing. That Johnstown stretch of 99, we saw two things at almost the same spot on 99. If you're driving from Johnstown up to 80, it was a clouded night. It was very cloudy, and there was soft breaks in the cloud cover. And my wife and I were driving home, and we saw this big blue orb, like a huge circular, glowing, luminescent blue orb. And it was just going through the clouds slowly, and you could see it like it was hiding behind the clouds. And we're like, whoa, the fucking moon looks awesome. And I look over, the cloud break over there's the moon. I'm like, oh. And she's like, yeah, that's not the moon. And we're watching it just go in and out of the clouds, this huge blue glowing orb.
That's so gnarly.
Yeah. And then the other time, Jan and I were driving up 99, we saw this giant fucking fireball flying from the sky. And I was just maybe satellite, not a satellite, a satellite or a meteor or something like that. But it was definitely a whole fucking fire. I'm like, what the fuck was that? It was just gave you that what the fuck was that moment where you're just like, and to us, it might be a rational thing. Every single one of these might have a rational explanation.
Absolutely.
But they're unidentified to us.
You have to understand, too, there's a lot of times our government will test military vehicles.
And not tell us.
Not ever tell us about it. You know, there's a story out there with he was a young boy at the time. It was him, his mom, and his grandmother, and they were out driving, coming home from somewhere late one night, and a big ship flew over the car. It was so low to the car, it actually put blisters in the paint. And his mother and grandmother both died of cancer shortly after. They lost their hair. But they said it was bizarre. It was once it got in front of the car, it started sparking and being weird. And black helicopters surrounded it and like escorted it away. He goes, he remembers that, and he goes, but like he still has pictures of the car, the paint blistered up on the car.
Because the heat.
Yeah, the heat and stuff, and his grandmother
and the
had
radiation.
Yeah, the grandmother had burns on her arms and everything from it, like from looking out the window. Half her face was burnt, like, you know.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was really rough. He says it was violent, like, and his mom. And
basically, it was like nuclear powered vehicles.
But he doesn't doubt for one bit. He goes, I don't think it was extraterrestrial. He goes, I think it was terrestrial, but he goes, it was a government tested spacecraft.
Yeah,
like, you know,
they were trying it out.
Bob Lazar even said, he goes, there's crafts that they have that are nuclear powered.
Right.
That, you know, they're trying to figure out how these alien spacecrafts are flying without giving off any emissions.
You need nuclear fusion.
Yeah, we need nuclear fusion, but
how are they doing?
How are they doing? And that's when they bring in element 115.
Well, that's kind of interesting. They like actually had that one thing. Cheers, guys. Gonna to review. Oh, Sparkle Puff. Oh yeah, definitely. I wish I had Sparkle Puff. I didn't get a chance to buy that one, but I got your unicorn farts waiting for you. He liked it. He liked the unicorn farts.
I like unicorn farts.
Yeah, and I like all girls farts, but I like unicorn farts too. But they had the one guy where that in the 50s that crash happened at his place, and the one part went down into the well.
Oh no, that's Aurora, Texas, and that's way back. That was what, 1911?
100 years ago.
Yeah, that was before the Wright brothers ever took flight by a few months. They said even.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they called it an aerocraft. They didn't even know what to call it. They called it an aerocraft. It fell from the sky, hit the guy's windmill, exploded into pieces. Pieces even flew into a tree. It hit so hard and so fast. They even found metal in the tree on the land. They found aluminum pieces in the well.
But the well was covered up.
The well was covered up. They covered it up. They threw the pieces of metal into the well, covered it up. They filled it in or put a plate over it and built a shed over top of it. And there was a body, an occupant. And they gave it a Christian burial, you know, in the graveyard. They had a service, a funeral, a tiny little casket. They buried it. It had its own marker all the way up till the 70s, you know, and that was like a major like tourist point, you know, with the moon men, you know, buried in the cemetery. Yeah. And then one day the marker went disappearing. That's
a new word today.
But and they can't find the body now. They did do they can't, and the government bought the land, by the way, so now you can't bury anyone there anymore. You can't
go visit your family.
You can visit your family. You're allowed to, but you're not allowed to bury or anything there. There's regulations.
You're not allowed to break ground.
Nope. And they did
because they don't want anybody finding it.
They send sonar down now, ground penetrating X-rays, and you can see where they think they found it, but they can't do anything about it. But was saying that, and you can find these images online, which is crazy. The guy who owned the land, the old man, the old grandpa who owned the land during the 1950s, started developing big calluses what do you call them? Like deposit, calcium
deposits
all over his body, and he had terrible arthritis. He had big bulges on his knuckles and everything all the way over his body, and he had high levels of aluminum in his blood, and he was drinking water from that well.
Is that why they capped the well off?
Well, that's the way after they capped it off.
Okay,
no one knew about it, and they told stories about that. There's just spaceship pieces down there.
Yeah.
And then finally, UFO hunters got permission. They paid tons of money for the landowners to allow them to open that up. They pulled the shed off, popped the cap, and there is aluminum in there. They sent it to a lab, and it's aluminum, but there's also a trace element in there. They don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So
probably the shit giving you calcium.
Probably what it is. Yeah.
It's actually interesting. There's been very now this is non-alien though at the same time, but creepy as fuck. Do you ever do the ghost stories where people move into a haunted area and then they start getting crazy sightings and seeing ghosts and start going mad and killing their family and dying of plagues?
Kind of like the Amityville Horror.
Yeah. In New England, in the 1800s or 1700s, the same thing happened to a family where the woman was like, she went stark raving mad about everything. She went stark raving mad. She ended up dying. The kids were she buried like 6 kids and stuff like that. And what it was, and this of course technology is can perceive reality now, but it was obviously cursed land, the whole deal, blah blah. Lead poisoning.
Oh.
There was lead in the water. There was lead in the land, and it was giving. They're consuming it. And the first thing it was doing was giving them like demonic visions and madness and plague and sickness, and they were thinking they were shunned by the community because they weren't good Christians and all this stuff, and it turns out it was just like something simple, yes, but in a different way could be so terrifying and devastating. I mean, people died. Lots of people died over this shit. So I mean, it's just creepy as fuck.
Could you imagine us being alive back in the time where if you didn't believe in their God, you were killed?
I would be dead already.
We would have been dead a long time ago.
Of course, I would play the game, and I'd be like, oh, I would be probably the preacher, and I would be raping everybody. You know, it's like, this is God's will. Put it in your butt. Yes, do it. You know what I mean? Like, cause I can play the game.
Tiny playful.
I can play the game. You know what I mean?
You are the game.
I am the game. So yeah, but I would totally be the black priest. Actually, they actually did that in Italy. To the whole early Roman Catholics, they had the black priest. It was 2 black priests that took over a whole abbey nunnery, and basically were having all the nuns commit satanic orgies on each other. This was all documented in history of phallus. Everyone had their own phalluses, and making the nuns go leather orgy naked in the thing and peeing all over each other and everything. The hierarchies actually found out about it at the end, of course, and both the nuns were exonerated because they didn't know any better, because they were following the word of God, because the priest was the word of God back then. You followed your cardinals and stuff. But I
go to church every Sunday if that's how it was in real life.
Yeah, exactly. So it's okay, Timmy, that the priest touch you, because that's God touching you right in the ass. And then of course they were burned. They were maleficarum, purification through violence and fire. So of course, but they were burnt at the stake for their heresy. But it is interesting to read about this shit happening, though. I mean, we can always conjecture about, what if? No, it did. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing is, because there are people probably that will watch like Alucard and be like, oh, that'd be crazy if that happened in real life. This shit happens in real life. Yeah, this is all dead. So yeah, definitely cool. Definitely cool stuff to read about. Now we have to get into the Dark Age. The Dark Age of Xtro 3.
Jesus, man.
Xtro 3's basis now, it's actually a really good basis. There's an island off the coast that no one knows about. We forgot about it. Turns out it was an island. Now, stay with me, Josh. It was an island that the government owned and only used for testing because an alien spaceship landed on it. What happened was, and of course if you really look at the logistics of filming and editing the film and different camera angles and how much work that would have, because they show the film of the alien breaking out and killing people, because no one realizes that we don't live in the fucking digital age back then. I don't know. There's multiple camera angles of this fucking autopsy and the alien breaking out. But who edited it? You know, they actually like took the film, created it, edited it, and then shipped it back to an island that was already overrun. You know what I mean? Like, if you really look at it, it's just the stupidity of it. But basically, what happened was the island was taken over after the ship landed. The government took over the whole island. What's up, buddy? Love you, drunken one. And after the island was taken over, they were doing the autopsies of this alien that was alive, and then the other alien was in the cage. The alien was the male, or the non-breeding species. The female or breeding species was on the table. They actually cut out the baby and put it on the thing. It was a very interesting autopsy, and it's alive and stuff like that. And it was just a very interesting kind of concept. And then basically the alien was in the cage and just went, you know what, screw this, and bent all the bars and freaked out and smashed the glass and killed everybody that was on the island, except for one old guy that survived that had the original footage and played it with no electricity and all this shit. But it is one of those things where in the 90s, and especially in the mid 90s, if you couldn't act, that is exactly the person they wanted for your film. Oh, you can't act worth shit? Yeah, come on in. And I like the fact that they have like a lot of military actors that don't know anything about the military, so don't know how to do anything like military and stuff. It's an interesting concept for a very, very bad film. You know what I mean? So there you go. Oh, well, no, thank you very much. I'm glad I won it. I love winning things. I don't usually do it, so when I do win something, it's awesome. I won some jerky, so we'll have some jerky.
You won jerky?
I won jerky. I won Drunken One's jerky in my mouth. I want his jerked meat in my mouth. Jerk your meat in my mouth. And so that was pretty interesting. The film, I mean, there was two, randomly interesting spots. The girl gets her hand in this acid and eats her hand almost off, and it was very interesting. The one guy, he sees this one, the same girl in this kind of cobweb mesh, getting kind of almost like, because he's basically torturing people now. You killed my last child and killed my wife, so I'm gonna do that to you now. Any human, I'm gonna torture you and do all this stuff. And basically they watch him torture, and basically it's an alien ripoff, a Predator ripoff too, because he can camouflage like Predator, And I love the fact that he's looking through the scope and sees her all tortured, like she's looking at him like, please kill me. And he's like, I would want to end it like that too, fucking. And he shoots her. But the funny thing is, like, they obviously didn't have money. Okay, cool. They probably shouldn't have money for like squibs or anything, like, because he shot her in the shoulder, like here. It's not gonna kill her. Like, it acted like I just blow her in the heart and like, or the head, like, no, he obviously shot her right in the shoulder. And I'm like, yeah, so you wanted to torture her more or something? I don't know what you did, but it killed her apparently. Like,
I mean, it would hurt.
Get shot in the foot and then you die in seconds. I don't know. It's just stupid. It would really suck. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't kill you. But
I like the aliens. Look like they might have been recycled from Fire in the Sky.
I would put the jerky in the freezer, but it's full of hookers. Yeah,
it happens, man.
Yeah, they jerk me too. But the aliens have this weird thing with Xtro 3 where the aliens look really stupid, but sometimes they look really cool. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I didn't get to the point in the films. Like, I don't think I saw. When I watched like probably 5-10 minutes of it.
Once I found there was an Xtro 3, I figured I'd give it a watch.
I discovered it looking up stuff about this movie, Xtro, so I didn't know there's 3. I hope there's not more than that.
I hope there's not more than that. No.
You know how many Ghoulie movies there are out there? It's
7.
Insane. I know. I have 7, man. It's like Ghoulies go to college.
That's 4.
Yeah, I know. That's how many there is. Like, it's insane. They always Ghoulies doing everything.
Yeah.
Ghoulies in space, I think. Was
but at least Ghoulies go to college had the Bush war, and the Bush is a good thing.
Not the George Bush.
Not the George Bush. Read my lips or read my labias. I like Bush. You know what I mean, like that kind of thing.
Read my lips. I think that was Reagan that said that though.
No, that was Bush.
What are we doing?
Yeah, shitty cows. You might have shitty cows.
Shitty cows.
Shitty cows.
What's it say?
Hushy boobies.
What you know about
What you know about hushy boobies?
Spatchcock.
Spatchcock and hushy boobies. Yeah, so basically the thing is with the Xtro 3, it's one of those ones that you turn on and have sex with someone and don't even look at the fucking TV.
It's the definition of Netflix and chill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those mid-90 movies that just suck, that shouldn't have probably been made, but they wanted to keep the actual original Xtro out of the public domain market, so they made a film, threw it out there really, really quick just to do something. It's worth it. It's a shut your mind off watch. I would say, you know what, Xtro 3 is a shut your mind off watch. It is as good as the remake of Fright Night and Fright Night 2 and stuff like that. They're shitty films, but you could shut your mind off and watch them. If you felt like it, if you're in the mood to watch something of that ilk, then you can. I'm going to give it like a 3 out of 10. It's not really a great film, but it's definitely not the worst film in the world. I've seen worse. I've seen films that I've actually just shut it the fuck off. So, you know what I mean? Like
House of the Dead.
House of the Dead's pretty bad.
Bad.
Yeah, but and one of these days we will go over our top 5 worst films we own, but for some reason we own them. But right now, that's Xtro 1, 2, and 3 with some nice conspiracy theory alien talk to match it up for a whole hour. We went for an hour.
Oh, surprised my phone's still running, actually.
Hushy boobies.
Hushy boobies,
okay, yeah. And I'm glad to hear that this is actually streaming live on all formats. And of course, again, on the next Friday, we will be posting this actual episode on, so anyone can check out what they missed and whatnot, etc. So this has been Paul,
Josh,
Maniac's Meat Podcast, episode probably 28, because 27 I think is going to have to be Slasher Sunday, coming up this Sunday, and that will be Nightmare from 1981. But anyway, thanks again for joining us, tuning in, the whole deal. Paul and Josh from Maniac's Meat, we're out. Let's put those fingers up. Watch those fingers.